Welcome back to Midwest eSports Formula One Division 3 tonight. We are calling the first race for Division 3 for us this season, and we are excited to see all of the action that the drivers have been talking up.
Yes. After a brief holiday pause, we did not cover a race last week, but we are back. We are happy to be here with the grunts down here in Division 3. Everyone talking it up in the chats about how grimy this division has been up until this point in the season. We're just 7 races in, but already we have some drivers who are saying that they're having some real difficulty even crossing the finish line after their completed set of laps. So we are in for one heck of a treat here to close off 2023. I cannot wait. We do have some familiar faces, though, floating through the grid. Some of them have moved up as D2 subs tonight, but it won't be a complete field of newcomers.
Yeah, and there, you said a couple. We saw Valentine. He's been racing in the Porsche. I already messed it up. Porsche Super Cup series that we have been joining in when we can. I don't know if he's here tonight, but Freeman, he was at my cousin's wedding. I don't see him on the list, so I can't make any inside jokes about that. Call Me Maybe, I've seen around before too. And Fireballer, he's been up and down in some of the leagues we've cast.
Yes, we do have some substitutions before we get into Q1 and only here in Hungary tonight. There has been a swap in the McLaren garage. Out for tonight is Los Mendigos, and in will be Affable Clover. So we will have some switching up there. Now that is, I mean, it might be detrimental. It might have some impact on McLaren's standing. Maybe tonight. We're going to look at the points here shortly because Los is the current points leader in D3. So with that driver out tonight, it's anyone's guess as to where McLaren will be sitting at the end of Q1 and only.
Yes, and we are already out in qualifying. We have just over 17 minutes left to go. Drivers are just starting their out laps. We're going to see who is setting the pace. We did get the weather report too. Only a 21% chance of rain in the race, but it gets lower after the start. So if the start is dry, these drivers may be safe the entire time. If not, we might see a couple safety cars here, and we will have some stuff prepared for that.
Yeah, rain, any inclement weather is no strange face here in Hungary. The drivers are certainly prepared for a bit of a touch of weather here tonight. But yeah, of course, you want that track to remain as dry as it looks right now on board with Fuse Rogue. And I do apologize. I did not scroll up far enough to see Commissioner Porkchop's list the other substitutions tonight. So if you wouldn't mind, Valentine will be out tonight. He is subbing up into D2. Replacing his seat in the Aston Martin garage will be DB the Best. So DB will be racing in the Mean Green Machine tonight. In for the other Aston Martin seat is Rapper is out tonight as well, and in will be Reimer. And for Red Bull, P. Gonzalez is up as well as Valentine, and Mean King 6'9" will be replacing that Red Bull seat. With all of that, it is time to shift our focus to the track. We have 15 minutes remaining in this 20-minute, 16-minute session? How long are the qualifying sessions?
I want to say it was 18 minutes.
Okay.
Based on when we saw them start.
Yeah.
But we are going to get these first laps in just a moment. Fuse Rogue in the Williams was the first car to start qualifying. And then we'll see some times. I haven't driven too much around the Hungaroring.
No, this is one, it's notorious in F1 as being one of the most cluttered rings. It has seen some major renovations since its inception back in the 80s, being the first, I believe, the first track to breach the steel curtain way back when the Cold War was going on. But since then, the track has seen some major improvements, including the removal of a few chicanes. So it has gotten a little better, but that's not saying that it is perfect. Yeah, this one is a little swirly durly. I am not very familiar with this track because I know how difficult and how taxing it can be on a driver. I lose my mind in the simplest of tracks. Okay, I don't need a Rubik's Cube challenge like this one.
I do remember this is where Danny Rick got his first race back. I believe,
Iconic.
right? In AlphaTauri.
Sure.
A lot of sweeping corners. I mean, you can see the shape of this track. You've got two very tight U-turns at the beginning of the lap and the end of the lap. A double one just before that. And then I've heard the rest of the track, the midsection, sector 2, you get into a nice rhythm. That's what a lot of the F1 drivers say. You get a left, right, left. If you can hit it right, you can carry full speed through a lot of the track.
Yeah, it is phenomenal once you see, and you can tell just from a spectator's camera like this one, you can tell when a driver hits that delta perfectly. It looks like they have just a ridiculous speed boost. But with that speed, with that perfect line, you may have folks that are a little reluctant to yield on that line as they're trying to maximize their speed through Sec 2. So we may see some incidents there. We do have a caution in Sector 3, but it doesn't look to be anything major as cars are yielding to one another on the track. On board now with Callie Me maybe?
Call me maybe. There
Is
you
it
go.
Call or is it Callie?
It's Call.
Okay, we have a couple viewers on the channel. One of the subscribers is Callie. So yeah, sorry, the screen is kind of tiny in front of me. So Call Me Maybe. I love it in the Haas. We do have a fastest lap set by Ayahuasca in the AlphaTauri, the Baby Bull, Racing Bulls, whatever that team's name is going to be in 1 year's time. That time up there is definitive. It's a 1:15.8.
He is almost a second above Texas Tornado. But we have plenty of time left. We see Call Me Maybe going into the pits. A lot of drivers already in the pits. Sometimes I think they do stop twice during qualifying. That always throws me since it's a shorter one. But we'll check out how Mean King does out here.
Mitch, did you get anything of note this holiday season? I know you and I haven't really talked. We've been traveling, hanging out with family all over the United States. We haven't really gotten a chance to catch up. So, did you pocket anything?
Oh, I did. I think I showed you. I got that La Corsa board game that's Formula One themed or like racing themed, and it's a board game. Played it with my parents. That was super fun. And I think I got a comfort pad for VR for my headset for when I'm racing.
Oh, nice.
And then just a couple books and other stuff. What about you?
I got a shiny new Pixel watch. That was a gift to myself. But I also got some new luggage, an espresso machine, the things that you get when you're living with your significant other. We got really hyped for a smart coffee machine this year. So I am definitely not drinking an espresso at 9 p.m. at night. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have work tomorrow, so I can stay up and, as long as I need and crash as hard as I can. So we are here for you tonight. But yeah, the Nespresso is running bold here at Shea Nick. So can't complain.
No, those are a big step up in the quality of coffee that you're having in the morning. And I know you'll be using that way too much in the first 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm already starting to shake a little bit if you can't hear it in the stutters in the voice. I also got a wonderful new pocket knife, but that's for another. We should really start another channel of all of our knickknacks. I got a pocket knife for my wonderful fiance, and it's gorgeous. So, yeah. It was a good time. A lot of fun with family. But we are on track. Sorry for that quick departure. We're on track with another one of the Racing Bulls. No, sorry, Red Bulls. This is Gabby in Sector 1. Now, I'm trying to come up with the little nicknames here. We'll see.
You'll get there. It'll take a little bit. Getting a little smoke out in the tires. Gabalan is currently 4th in the Drivers' Championship. I had to refresh my brain there. It was loading a little bit. Currently 16 points behind Jaw. Did you say Los Mandingos and Final Flame are out tonight?
Now, no, I have not seen. I did not see a sub for Final Flame or Jaw. So all I saw was Los Mandingo. Looks like Gabby has spun out, just waiting to rejoin the track here. Yeah, so Final Flame should be out there. Do we have eyes on?
I don't see.
Not yet.
Maybe they're covering up a division too. You never know.
Yeah, there may be some drops, and it always happens every once in a while where we can't hold a seat. We just can't find a sub for that seat. So that is the one benefit of D3 and D4 is we can pull drivers up to D2, D1 and race up there. But you do run the risk of having a short grid, which it looks like we do tonight. Not surprising at the end of the year here as folks are traveling and doing the whole family thing.
Yes. It is a good time to mention, though, that if the drivers are racing a division up, the points they earn up there will come back down to their drivers' championship in Division 3. The team points will stay up in Division 2, wherever they finished.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do our intros and we say some of the drivers might hold on to,
Ooh, bit of a slide there, but D-Blade, DB was able to course correct. No major damage there.
Got a little airtime in the Aston Martin too.
I like that little off-road.
We ask if drivers will hold on to their drivers' championship. They could still be earning points tonight, even though they're not in this race.
Yes, yeah. So we will have to iron out. Whoever's covering next week's race will be able to iron out those results and clarify all of that as the season progresses. Hello to everybody in the chat. Hey, what's up, Smoke? Hi, Peter. Cannot wait to see the chaos that is D3. And Benny, what is up? Is it morning? Yes, it's likely morning over there. So thank you. Hopefully you're enjoying a wonderful espresso, maybe a stroop waffle. 'Tis the season. No, you're making a face over there. Have you never had a stroop waffle?
Who are you talking to, though?
I'm talking to Benny.
In Australia?
Yep.
Are you thinking of Austria? Or am I confused?
Nope.
Okay.
I am thinking of Australia because Benny said season's greetings from down under, guys. Hope you have a great and safe holidays in the chat, which is on the screen that you're sharing with me right now. So if you just look to the bottom left, you'll see it. What's up, Benny?
I'll let it slide.
Do you not see what I'm looking at?
I see what you... Anyways.
Have you ever had a stroop waffle?
No, I haven't. That's why I'm confused, I think.
Okay, well, no, a stroop waffle, yes, is Austrian. It's like Belgian up in that region, but we have them here, so I'm
you can
assuming
see why I got mixed up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
It's like a pitzel with caramel on the inside of it, and you put it on top of your cup of coffee, and it heats up the caramel, and you open it up, and it's just gooey. I'm gonna send you stroop waffles. You look very confused over there.
A little bit.
I'm going to send you some. Don't you worry. We are just over 6 minutes to go in Q1 and only. Ayahuasca still sitting on top of the podium with 1:15.8. That is provisional pole right there for Alpha Tauri. We'll see if they can hold on as he looks to be trying to set another fastest lap.
It is fairly close to his last lap, so he may go into the pits because we're getting close to that final window. No. He's going to try and improve on this final corner. And did that beautifully. Kept it perfectly in the line.
It's going to be close. He did it. A 1:15.6.
0.2 of a second up on his previous time. He is now half a second over Texas Tornado. And then the rest of the pack, we got Fuse Rogue, Got Any Weeb, and Reimer, who are within a second of Ayahuasca. Everyone else over that 1 second mark.
Absolutely blazing up there in the AlphaTauri. We'll see if that can translate to a clean and tidy race for him as well. All remains yet to be seen here in Hungaroring. Anything can happen. This is really, you say it on every single track, and when you're dealing with up to 20 cars traveling almost, over 200 miles an hour through dangerous corners such as this. There's always that slight danger of missing your line just the slightest bit and causing absolute pandemonium. So Ayahuasca could lose that pace. We will have to see, but Texas Tornado and the rest will certainly be biting at those heels in the start of this session.
We also have DB DeBest and Reimer in the Aston Martins, who have recently moved up into second, starting to appear behind McLaren. Still a good gap, though. McLaren has been dominating this season. But some of those teams are making a challenge, and DB DeBest is setting a better time than his last time out on track. We'll see if he can jump up near his teammate or perhaps even above the Williams as he comes around the final corner.
Not being too familiar with the storylines here in D3, I have to question if Los was having, just an absolute tear for McLaren, or if Affy down there, currently in 14th on their outlap, is just waiting to set some pace. Is this another case of a teammate carrying the entire team through constructors, or are both of these McLarens deadly? Although Affable is a replacement as well, so sorry.
We did have DB DeBest move up into second, though, almost breaking 116, just a hair short, and his teammate Reimer is now looking to jump the Williams as well. It has been a 1-3 for McLaren in the Drivers' Championship with Los Mandingos and Jaw. Both of them are out tonight, though, and only one McLaren in the race. So that is some good news for Aston Martin and AlphaTauri and some of the other teams that are charging up the leaderboard and start to close that gap a bit. First place in Division 3 is worth 25 points, and then it works its way down to 2. The gap between Aston Martin and McLaren is almost 75. So they would need a couple races to chip away at that. Got an opportunity tonight, though, to get maybe 25 extra points over them, though.
Yeah, definitely significant, and I apologize for what I was just word salad earlier. I can't read, so I did announce the substitutions and then completely forgot about the substitutions. But
we also had Reimer going up into the 115s, joining Ayahuasca as the only ones to break that 16-second mark. So now we have an Aston Martin 2 and 3, which should be familiar. The race last week ended pretty close to this. It looks like text-to-speech in the Aston Martin finished second, DB DeBest finished third, Ayahuasca finished first. So if Reimer is not text-to-speech, Aston Martin's still holding second.
Yeah, that is just absolutely as a little daunting there. And I'm sure Ayahuasca has his eye on that leaderboard, on that time, because as it stands, Reimer would have beaten Ayahuasca's standing, his initial fastest lap of 1:15.889, I believe it was. So a 0.818 would have definitely dethroned the AlphaTauri. So those two definitely keep an eye out. At lights out, it is going to be an absolute dogfight through the first couple of corners here in Hungary.
I'm excited to see how this one goes. The drivers have been talking up the potential for a couple safety cars. We won't have the rain, which will help with that. But anything can happen. You have substitution drivers going both ways, people not racing, and a very windy track and a super sharp turn 1.
Absolutely. And as we are just 1 minute, less than a minute to go, and Q1 and only drivers are heading out for their final laps, their final chance to claw their way up this grid to give themselves the best chance they can, walking away with some hardware. I do want to take a quick minute to thank the folks that are making Midwest eSports Formula One Division 3 possible tonight. Thank you, of course, to the Commissioner Pork Chops, along with our stewards, those drivers and those fans who are continuing the work after the checkered flag waves. Thank you very much to Helgs and Scabney, along with Matt Rosie here for D3. Your work is just absolutely irreplaceable. Thank you all for making sure that we are held to a higher standard. And that is not how you hold yourself to a higher standard and cross the line. Fuse Texas Tornado is out in the Alpine in a shocking spin in the final lap.
He is holding on to fourth right now, but man, does that sting. And now we've got a battle between Gott and Weeb, and it looks like Ferrari, maybe Jordi. I think Jordi is going to let him go on by. So we'll see if anyone can challenge that time. Ayahuasca going even faster, coming up on the finish line. Well, 2 more turns. Looked like it. It was a right-hand U-turn, but there's a couple of those here on the track. He's going to stay out, try and push that time just a little bit further. Reimer is already finished, so he can't jump any higher. Another 0.2 of a second.
420 boys. We did see Meme King move up past the DQ'd Fuse Rogue. Why is that so hard to say? But Meme King will be starting in 5th. He was able to just jimmy his way up into that position in the final lap. We have a couple more drivers. That looks to be everybody. Well, there you have it, folks. The grid is set. The stage is just about ready for lights out. Let's take a quick look at the official standings before we go into pregame here on Nick and Mitch. I'm so excited for this race. I really, as much as I want this to be a clean race for all of the drivers out there, I really do want to see some chaos. It's just like a primal urge, Yeah,
and it's always exciting to watch people you haven't watched much of in the season, because we'll start to learn the storylines as it develops and as they chat more in the drivers chat.
Well, we will see you at the other side of our holiday intro. Please enjoy the music, and we will see you trackside. For the final time in 2023, welcome back to Season 11 of MidWest eSports Formula 1 Racing. Week 8 of competition brings us to the famous Hungaroring, pulling the grid once again to one of the most daunting challenges that looms over every season's schedule. This iconic 14-turn, 2.72-mile circuit ruthlessly demands skill and precision. In preparation for this week, some of our drivers were mentioning the burden of subpar performances this far in their season. And tonight, the Hungaroring presents them with a unique opportunity. Will it be the fresh start they've been waiting for, or is this a spiral into further chaos? This technical track with its winding layout has the potential to shake up the standings and provide a clean slate for those seeking redemption. Twists and turns may be just what these drivers need to showcase their true capabilities and leave their struggles in 2023. Tonight's Division 3 action promises to be a roller coaster of emotions with intense battles, strategic gambits, and the pursuit of hardware.
And we're halfway through the season, and the leaderboard has witnessed a seismic shift. McLaren's Lost Mandingo still clings to the Drivers' Championship lead, but the rear-view mirror is no longer a lonely place. Aston Martin, fueled by a double podium in Qatar, has roared from 4th to 2nd, its drivers clawing their way back into contention with the ferocity of caged lions. But the storm clouds gather over AlphaTauri. Final Flame, his victory cry still echoing in the air, and Ayahuasca, the new force of nature, have propelled the team from 9th to 6th. This dynamic duo, with 3 consecutive victories, are breathing fire down everyone's necks. But beneath the thunder of these frontrunners, stories of struggle and redemption simmer. Drivers like Fuse and Texas Tornado, victims of cruel D3 luck, have seen potential podiums vanish in a blur of sparks and smoke. Tonight, they're out to rewrite their narratives, hungry for points and the sweet taste of vindication. Will Los Mandingos stand firm against the rising tide of challengers? Can Aston Martin maintain its newfound momentum? And will Final Flame and Ayahuasca continue their rampage? Or will a surprise surge from Fuse and Texas Tornado rewrite the D3 script?
Well, we don't have a ball and we're a bit a ways from Times Square, but I do know that Lights Out is next. From Hungary, this is Midwest eSports Formula One Division 3 on Nick and Mitch. Well, a holly jolly hello to everyone watching. Thank you very much as we prepare for the formation lap. Waiting for the drivers to all load back into the game here. I heard what you said before that intro, and it was a really, really bad pun, but I did laugh.
I'm glad you did at least. You know,
that was
I was
for
worried
me.
that your mic cut out. Oh, here we go.
And we're off. Just kidding. This is the formation lap as the drivers are able to get their tires warmed up and get their perfect, millimeter precision grid start like they like to do. It is a bit overcast here in Hungary today, but we only had a 21% chance of rain. Now that does slightly increase as the race goes on, but most of the drivers are hoping, and most of the garages are also calling for a dry race tonight. So we'll see if their predictions remain true.
Yeah, we had a 21% chance of rain here at the start. I do see a lot of drivers out on a mix of tires, and remember, we can just pull those up.
Look at that!
Almost a perfect spread of soft and medium, and then Call Me Maybe in the Haas on his hard tires. Trying to go the distance at the start of this race. We're going to have 35 laps around the Hungaroring, which is close to the most laps we've seen so far. This is a very short track.
Yeah, very short, but super demanding. I mean, I just can't emphasize that enough. This one looks like a squiggle line drawn by a 4-year-old. It absolutely makes zero sense. But I don't know. Will Call Me Maybe have the right strategy in running these hards up front? I mean, it's not like they have the sun playing to the advantage of track temperature, keeping everything warm for the grip of the ultimate grip of those soft tires. But I don't know. Will it be warm enough for the hards? It's yet to be seen, but there are our possible race strategies. Opposed from the one Haas, it's looking like either a 1 or 2 stop race, depending on which tire you start with.
Yeah, I didn't think of that point with it supposedly getting warmer, or at least sunnier, or less chance of rain as the race progresses. You would think that you would start on the tires that heat up a bit quicker. We'll see if Call Me Maybe can hold his position, or maybe he wants to slip down a little bit and then, make up that time as everyone has to do a pit stop.
We already have some jawing in the driver's chat of the formation lap. Texas Tornado and John Carlos both getting into it over who needed to get in front of who before the grid. But everyone found their way to their stalls. Here we go. Lights are out from Hungary. This is Formula One Division 3 for Midwest Esports Racing on Nick and Mitch. It's Reimer taking the lead over Ayahuasca into the main straight. Ayahuasca back into the front as Reimer dips down. Ayahuasca taking the outside, trying to close the Aston Martin out. He is not able to, as both of them build a wall right behind the AlphaTauri, blocking out Mean King. Feud Rose and Texas Tornado going after it. Fuse taking the better half of the Alpine. And we are clear of almost all of Sector 1 here, and no caution flags yet. That you can't wish for anything more than that at this point.
That was just a killer call for the first 30 seconds, holding my breath to see if everyone makes it through. And they have. So now it's time for that strategy to set in. Aston holding 2 and 3, which is a great position for them to be in. Williams has been split up by Texas Tornado for now. Then you can see Ferrari and Haas keeping their teammates close by, although we do have dead text message in the Alpine going into the wall. He's going to get back on track. We'll see if his car is A-OK as he passes by the pits.
That is definitely a rough one. It does look like the car has all the fingers and toes, at least from what we can see on the stream here. So hopefully that Alpine can get back in the mix. But we were seeing, call me maybe, down in that Haas with those hard tires, moving and grooving just a wee bit. Well, right now as he gets overtaken by the Alfa Romeo. We'll keep an eye on that Haas and see how they fare with the minority decision of the hard tires out from the start. What a wonderful start from Reimer, able to get off the gun faster than Ayahuasca, but then Ayahuasca showing that skill, able to block out both of the Aston Martins around that first few turns there. And look at this, we are already on lap 2. It is, seriously, it is such a quick lap.
This one just flies the entire time. We had Soy Loco getting in front of Got Any Weeb, so the Williams is slipping further away from his teammate. But we do see a nice timing error on the sheet, a minute 20 gap between certain drivers. That should clear up. We have a virtual safety car.
Someone
looks
stopped.
like dead text message. He did not pit after going into the wall, and that car may be a little too hot to handle.
Yeah, that one's looking like that front wing took a bit of a vacation there in lap 2. So unfortunately, Dead Text is going to have to head back into the pits, be refit, and hopefully is not suffering any terminal body damage. Remains yet to be seen if he will be able to re-enter this race. But as the virtual crews are cleaning up the virtual mess, we have our first safety car. And it's now gone. We are underway again, and DRS has been enabled, just like that.
We had a nice virtual safety car joining us ever so briefly until Dead Text Message got his car back online. We have a ton of cars within that 1 second window for DRS, and 2 DRS zones as you cross the finish line and then as you exit turn 1. I believe they share the same detection zone too.
Oh, so it's one of those deadly ones where you can overtake in the first and still retain speed in the second.
We do have Dead Text Message dropping out of the race. It looks like Soy Loco
might have dropped. It might have dropped from the session. If we're unable to see that car, Mitch might have just dropped out of his seat. Are you okay?
Everything's beachy over here.
Mitch? Okay.
I'm
All
so
right.
sorry for that.
Well, it looks like Soy Loco may have had a connection issue. We'll see if they can get back into the race as we were unable to locate the car on the track map. But we are now officially under a safety car. So no, maybe Soy Loco is spun out somewhere.
He was spun and then disappeared. Reimer's going into the pits in the Aston Martin. It was on soft tires. That's going to be interesting. He's leaving his teammate out there too, so they are splitting the strategy a little bit. Maybe he'll pit in the second one. I'm not too sure, honestly, in the game. Do you have to wait for your teammate?
Yes, you should, because you will stack. You only have one garage. You only have one pit crew. So that has happened before in the past with Ferrari, with wrong calls, and they call in, and you basically have to just wait behind the other car until they're gone so you can pull in. So definitely don't want to double stack your cars if it is not a full safety car or obviously a red flag. But this is an interesting strategy because DB is still able to push up on Ayahuasca and keep those tires, chipping down, kind of, keeping Ayahuasca on their toes, forcing them into the pit. And hopefully, I'm assuming the strategy is for Reimer to return back to the top of the grid once Ayahuasca has to call it quits. So early strategy here from Reimer, but we'll see if it pays off. Only 4 laps in, deciding to change off of those soft tires. I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe he has some tricks up his sleeve.
Do you know some of the drivers expect multiple safety cars? And if that's the case, this could be a nice free tire change, and expect maybe one more around lap 25 where you can switch on to one more pair of soft tires, or if it's a little earlier, switch on to some mediums. So might be playing that strategy, and we'll see if the best stops in. If not, sometimes it's good to split your team strategy just in those situations. If another safety car doesn't happen, DB the best stays up in the top. If another safety car happens, Reimer can get back up into the top. I'm nervous. I hear some keys clacking away.
Oh yeah, can you hear that? I also, sorry, I also got a new keyboard. It's a little clicky. I'm asking Google's Bard AI software to write these unrealistic, funny PSAs to be read at a formula race.
I was looking for my old history to see if I could pull it up, but I'll let you take the reins.
Well, we'll see what Google comes back with. This is something that we like to do if we know that there are going to be some safety car incidents. We do like to pull up some safety car entertainment on the stream. So we will see. If anyone in chat is watching and has some insight on today's race, who they think is going to win, what strategy they think is the best, please let us know. Give us something to talk about during these safety cars. And God, please let us all get to bed before midnight, as we are still under yellow in lap 5.
Think based on previous events, the safety car will be in on this lap too. So we only have about 40 seconds left until that Mercedes AMG pulls back into the pits and all of the cars take off.
Beautiful. Well, we should have just enough time here. Hey kids, are you tired of boring, predictable pit stops? Well, now introducing Pit Stop Pandemonium, where wrenches fly, tire changes turn into ballet, and fire extinguishers become disco fog machines. Witness skilled mechanics battle malfunctioning robots, sing show tunes under pressure, and maybe even flirt with the driver if they can dodge the flying lug nuts, that is. This is absolutely unhinged, and we'll have to get back to the PSAs later in today's race because we are back under green. As we see Ayahuasca doing the classic Max Verstappen here, holding the entire grid before he decides to press his foot down on the gas. They cannot pass him until he has started this lap. So here we go. There's the speed. There's the slingshot as the Aston Martin tries to follow behind Meme King, not far behind DB. But Ayahuasca has a healthy car and a half lead as he heads now into turn 1 for the restart of the Hungaroring, the Hungary Grand Prix.
Uh-oh. See another slip going down. Looks like Jean Carlos. Another missing wing.
Spinning out once again, slamming into the walls, but that car is still functional. So we'll see if Jean can get back into tonight's race. Jean was also jawing with Texas Tornado at the beginning of today's race during the formation lap as he was trying to get past Texas TT up there in 5th place, and TT was just kind of closing him out on one of the corners. So I'm not sure if Jean is regarded as an edgy driver, kind of pushing the limits of this track, of the grid, or if that was just an unfortunate snap of luck. I can tell you, though, Reimer was able to capitalize on that and move up into 7th place. So it was not for nothing there. The Aston Martin gaining at least one spot before we were back under a virtual safety car.
Reimer only went to medium tires, which is a bit interesting because DB the Best and Meme King on those softs, they will be coming in a couple of laps. The virtual safety car is all gone, so they'll stick it out for at least a bit longer. We do have some good movement out there. We can see Reimer dropped 5, but he did take a pit stop. Peter and Affable Clover with the biggest moves so far, moving up 5 and 6 respectively.
There we go. We do have someone in the chat cheering for Jordan Hum. Jordan Hum, a name that we have grown to know over the last season and a half. He's a fill-in driver from the higher divisions, now racing here in D3. Looking good while he's doing it. We have another incident, Mitch. My eyes were on the board. Your eyes were on the track. What happened there to DB on the restart?
I was watching Meme King just behind him, and what I saw, I think, was just a little bit of oversteer. I think he either caught the curb or just going a little too hard. It looked like he over-rotated the car, spun out. I think he's going to be okay, but he is down in 13th right now, which is going to hurt.
That is so unfortunate. In the course of, 3 laps here, minus all of those safety car laps, we have lost both Aston Martins in the head of this grid. Ayahuasca still sitting on top, and we have another spin. It's Meme King now. Just having a terrible stroke of oversteer coming out of that corner into the chicane as Ayahuasca ironically sets the fastest lap of the race. This is, again, how difficult the Hungaroring is. I mean, this is not a beginner's track. And, you know, these are seasoned drivers who know what they're doing with these machines. And even they are having some issues when they are in traffic, when they're in some congestion with their peers here.
Well, we do have DB the Best and Meme King back together again, although in 12th and 13th, not in 2nd and 3rd. We'll see if they can work their way back up this leaderboard over the course of the race. Hopefully their tires didn't suffer too much in those spins.
Well, now it is all up to Reimer, who's going to try, now in 5th, he's going to try and get back into that podium to put the pressure on Ayahuasca once again. If you remember back qualifying, Reimer did qualify at Ayahuasca's pace. Unfortunately, it was not enough to beat him out of pole, but he was right there on the doorstep. So if anyone can do it based on the numbers, it's Reimer in 5th right now. We'll see if he can keep it tidy here through still the first the first quarter of this race.
We'll see if he can pick up DRS and get past Jordan Hum. The two of them have a 2.5-second gap behind Texas Tornado. Fuse Rogue, though, setting the fastest time just after Ayahuasca, maybe catching a bit of a slipstream off of the current race leader. And Reimer is now thinking about it, but going to wait, maybe try and attack. Oh, but we have Jordan Hum going off of the track. I think just a little too much on the defense and didn't see where he was going.
We also have Gabby Land triggering a very brief yellow flag there, dropping down to 11th place. Not sure what had happened there. Maybe it was just a brief trip over into the grass. But he is now back with his teammate in the Red Bulls, Meme King, now sitting 11th and 12th. Jordan was really... Wait a minute. What did I just see? Hang on. Reimer's in 4th. I'll take it. That's my brain playing catch up.
I used to say I can't even begin to pick apart what your brain's doing right now.
It's a scary place.
They're starting to get some significant gaps on the field, though. Jordan Hum just over a second at this point. Fireballer, Affable, and Gabby Land, only ones that would get DRS as we hit these next checkpoints.
Talk about some significant gaps up in my brain. Yeah, all right. Ayahuasca setting a 1:19.3, reclaiming that fastest lap over Fuse.
He is starting to run away with this, a 3-second gap on Fuse. And I imagine that's going to continue to grow until they have to make some pit stops. Even Fireballer, this is not long enough of a straight to close the gap. He is down to 0.3 of a second, and we'll get one more opportunity in this relatively short DRS section. See if he's brave enough to dive in the corner. He's going to hold it out for a bit longer. Is on the hard tires, but it looks like Call Me Maybe is as well.
How confusing is that we have in the same league, we have a Fireballer and a Fireball. Fireballer 20 and Fireball 123D. That seems like someone should yield the name.
They don't even get me started on all the MMRs that we see.
Oh. What, the Mickey Mouse racing?
Oh, boy. Affable Clover.
Sorry, Monkey Mafia.
Might have been laughing at your joke and went a bit off track, and now it is just showing us nothing.
Well,
it really, I guess Affable is still in that corner. There he is, peeking back around. I think he's okay.
You gotta love it. Hey, everyone's at home. Everyone's on holiday in the States right here, so the internet might not be the best. So we're all just holding on to whatever we can grab right now. From the internet to us behind the mics. We now have Texas Tornado trying to close the gap on Fuse Rogue. But we have a couple of brief cautions. Might have been down in turn 1 there, but everything has been cleared up, so we are fine. Texas Tornado continues the push on Fuse in the Williams, now dipping to just under half a second.
And we are starting to reach the pit stop window for some of these drivers who would be on mediums and hards. These mediums, well, they could go a bit longer, maybe 15 laps and start to push it. Hard tires we got out for a while. Meme King still 10 laps on soft.
Cooking those things. Well, now we get to see if Reimer's strategy will pay off. I really expected him to go to hards that early in the race, but it might have just been a preference on what he was feeling out on track at the moment. Will he decide to, reclaim first, try to get a gap, and then get back in there for another set of hard or another set of mediums, another set of hards? It all remains yet to be seen. That strategy coming up here in the next few laps as we approach the halfway point of the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Oh, Reimer just shooting past Texas Tornado in the Alpine, who has spun out and spun out again. Thought he was facing the wrong way on the track, which is not what you want to be doing when you're in an F1 car. He is back pointed forward, though. The gap from Peter, though, in 7th has closed significantly, only 4 seconds off of Texas Tornado. Do have Got Any Weeb in the Williams moving up into 4th, and Fuse in the other Williams up into 2nd.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate spin. You're starting to see the effects of these tires clearly. These drivers, regardless of incident, regardless of brake checks and line jumping, the like, these tires are just going to turn to mush eventually. We do have our first significant penalty of the night. That's coming from the game to Affable Clover for a significant impact with, who was it? Jean Carlos. So Affable will suffer that penalty and have to live with that down in 14th place.
Ooh, another spin. The McLaren unable to reel in those tires. We have a safety car out, and that's right around that pit stop window for the medium tire users. So they're going to get a nice freebie. We'll see who else decides to change it up out there. Let's pull these up.
Oh, no, we're getting noise from the podium chat, from the paddock chat, sorry. Fireball123D saying, why on earth did my wheel disconnect? Are you kidding me? Using some fruitier language than we permit on the stream, of course. But Fireball not happy with the hardware that they're working with here tonight. We'll see if during this pit window they can get their stuff reconnected. That's unfortunate. Fireball was also having some issues on the software side. Half of their HUD wasn't showing up. So not sure what's going on over there, but let's be real, it does kind of track for Ferrari. As unfortunate as it is, sorry, Fireball. Sorry to the entire Ferrari org over there. But I mean, if any team to have that DNF due to hardware and software issues.
Hey, I will say I asked Bard for some F1 themed jokes, and it posted a picture of Ferrari and said, well, at least I have more time to practice my pit lane starts.
No.
It did, and the caption is F1 driver failing at a pit stop.
Oh, no. It's just Fireball sitting in the garage holding his wheel, holding his G29.
It is shocking how many memes that it gets right. Although it also referenced Bono and then showed the U2 Bono nod. The F1 Bono.
Well, it's close. Oh.
It is kind of like talking to a family member when you're like, oh yeah, and Bono, and they're like, oh, the U2 singer? No.
Yeah, I heard he was just at the Sphere. Well, he was back in November, but for just a weekend, though. Hey, Mitch, are you feeling stressed? You can take a pit stop for yoga. Feeling the pressure of racing getting to you? Engine screaming, tires screeching, your rivals breathing down your neck? Don't worry. There's a new pit stop just for you. The Zen Zone. Pull in, grab a mat, and join our resident yogi for a quick guided meditation session. Find your inner peace, stretch out those racing muscles, and maybe even discover a hidden chakra that gives you the ultimate speed boost, Zen Zone. Because sometimes the fastest way to win is to slow down. We have a drive-through penalty from Affable Clover. That's the second penalty on the night, but the McLaren sitting back in 13th place right now. Not sure what effect that is going to have. He's definitely going to have to climb this leaderboard if we want to start doing some penalty math here for the Papayas.
Oh, penalty math is never fun in my brain. There's too many seconds and too much time to try and figure out.
Would you rather take penalty math or end of football NFL season playoff math? The Steelers will make the playoffs if this team scores this many points, if this coach eats a sub instead of a hot dog before the game, and this fan wears his purple jersey instead of his blue one. Like, would you take that over penalty math? Because that drives me up an absolute wall.
Oh, yeah. Just the speculating from like week 4.
Terrible. That's
like,
awful.
This team's in the hunt. Every team's in the hunt until like week 15.
Yeah, 16 weeks. Everyone's in the hunt. It's, of course. That's what they're here for.
Imagine if they were just in teams that weren't in the hunt. They just decided they don't ever want to do playoffs and they just want to cause chaos.
Press release. We just want to say we're just here to have fun this season. We're not looking for anything. Please remove us from the hunt.
We just want to ruin a bunch of other team seasons.
We are doing it for the fans. We are going for nothing but kneecap tackles the entire season.
Oh man, safety cars need to end.
Yeah, they really
I've got a
do.
good one for the next one though.
Hey, did we have a notice that the safety car was coming in?
It should be on this one.
Okay.
Based on my gut feeling of when we reach the point that we've been, making stuff up for too long, that's about time.
Yeah, that's fair.
I opened my eyes and I saw the safety car flash again. I thought we were getting a new one.
Oh, no.
Well, if you were having fun before, here's another one. Safety car is in an accident. Realistically, what do they do?
What?
If the safety car spun out and hit the wall?
Are you talking in the game or in real life?
In real life.
So this happened once before where I don't know if I think it was a wreck. I think the safety car wrecked. And they have a second safety car. The medical car can also be used as a safety car if needed. But in previous races where a secondary safety vehicle wasn't available, I think there's an infamous picture of a Honda Civic, like a 90s or an early 2000s Honda Civic leading one of the Grand Prix. I'm going to see if I can find one of those pictures to send over to you. It is hilarious seeing a Red Bull sat behind a weird light gray Honda Civic.
I was picturing the cars they use in the driver parades, like the one in Vegas where they drive around the track, and it's like a 1950s Rolls Royce.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Here it is. Okay, let me see if Twitter can give me any info on
much of nerds as we are. I really want to see the official rule book for what happens if the first safety car goes down and then if the backup safety car goes down.
They go out in the parking lot is what happens.
All right.
I just sent you the picture on Messenger of this car. That is an actual image. Mark Webber, Massa, Raikkonen, Kimi was in there.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Dave Coulthard, yeah. Honda Civic safety car. If anyone in chat knows the backstory before I find it, let me know. I believe it was at Suzuka.
It does look like Suzuka.
Yeah.
Based on nothing.
Oh, no, sorry. This is the Canadian. They used an 8th generation Honda Civic SI as a safety car in the 2007 Canadian F1 Grand Prix. If anyone in the comments knows why they used this car, let me know. Real safety car probably had a flat tire or refused to start when it had to take off. It happens occasionally. Backup medical cars are mostly used. Can't say why they used the Civic.
Here we go. Ayahuasca is holding everyone up again as the safety car goes in, and he is going to take off.
Don't let that dual sense die there. Here we go on the restart. We are officially at the halfway point of the Hungarian Grand Prix here in week 8 of Formula One Racing Division 3 Midwest eSports on Nick and Mitch. Ayahuasca remains in the lead, but Fuse not far behind, closing that gap to under a 10th. Is he going to be able to overtake him? He's not. Ayahuasca able to close that gap, but Reimer has made a miraculous return to the podium following all of the safety car incidents and the early pit stop for the Aston Martin. We have a green machine sniffing at the door of first or second place. These two are going to definitely be after it. Took a brief glimpse back there to Affable Clover, our notorious penalty collector here in the McLaren tonight, racking up quite a rap sheet in the game. We'll see if any of those are challenged following today's race, but just as we speak about the McLaren, he may be stopped yet again as a safety car was briefly, or a safety flag was briefly waved, and he is severely behind the pack. So we will see what is going on, but we have plenty of caution flags here through various sectors.
I think the car is just not driving well for him after that first spin out. Is far enough away from the pack for now to not cause a safety car to come out, but we have some gaps closing.
Oh, and we have a new race leader for the first time tonight following that first stretch in the start-finish straight after lights out. Fuse Rogues is in the lead in the Williams over Ayahuasca's Alpha Tauri and Reimer's Aston Martin. That Williams looking mighty fast, just consistent, staying with the pack, staying through all of the commotion that was going on there at the first quarter of today's race here. But yeah, we are now going to see how well Ayahuasca is at maintaining pace and possibly overtaking here, as he has yet to dip below 1 second on the race leader.
And the McLaren Affable Clover has retired from this session, got the car back into the pits, and has unfixable damage. So another driver out. 12 remain in the race. We are coming up on the DRS zone. I believe it's enabled this lap.
Incredibly unfortunate for the McLaren. That is going to be no points for our points leader in the constructors. That is going to have a potential implications here. It will at least allow Aston Martin to get a couple very, very much needed points. But closing that gap, 75 points altogether, is unrealistic here in just one race.
One race, but over the rest of the season, I believe we will have 7 after this one, if I do my math correctly. So 8 races, including this one, to get some more points and jump up. Ayahuasca got very close to the overtake, but holding off for now.
Yes, these two are elite, right? I mean, these top 4 are just keeping it close. This is a wonderful race up at the top of the pack, but we do have some gaps forming in the back. However, DB looks to be closing in 8th place on Peter DRH, our host for tonight's session. We'll see if this Aston Martin is able to get by the Alfa Romeo here. He's definitely trying, and my screen is frozen, but he is not able to get by him as Peter closes the door heading into that corner.
I think there was maybe a bit of lag. It looked like they bumped, but I don't believe they did. Are getting into the DRS section, and this is going to be a huge race for Aston Martin. Now that McLaren is out,
there he goes.
They could get up to, I want to say 49 or 48 points, which will start chipping away at that 75-point gap. Will surely help if they can get both of these drivers up close to the podium.
We had a double overtake on, wow, what is going on? Peter DRH and Meme King overtaken by DB. Peter dropping down into 9th place, and these two have driven themselves into the wall. It was too good to be true. The 3-way race through the chicanes ends in absolute tragedy. both the Aston Martin and Red Bull careening into the walls. It does not look like terminal damage, but that does put a significant damper on the Aston Martin strategy of just swallow up all the points we can while McLaren's sleeping this weekend.
Gotta hope that they can keep the car in the race for the rest of this. If finishing in 12th would get 10 points, which is better than nothing. You have to finish 90% of the race in this league to claim those points.
Virtual safety car has been deployed, and Meme King sounding off in paddock chat, tagging DB DeBest and just saying, question mark? What was that? What just happened? So Meme King has placed the blame on the Aston Martin there, potentially trying to take a line. We'll have to see a replay from one of those drivers on who had position heading into that chicane. It looked like they were in the middle of a transfer. So, yeah, definitely going to have to refer to the stewards on that one to see who should be assessed some penalties. But huge break there for Peter DRH in the Alfa Romeo. Remains up in 7th place in the pack. As both of those drivers overtook him at one moment and then seemed to just get a little heated with one another. He was the third car in the three-way who was able to just skeep out of danger. So cheers to the Alfa Romeo staying alive here tonight in Hungary.
Making it through as the only Alfa Romeo who is in third. So now this could help him out a little bit because he has a couple cars before he reaches Reimer in the next Aston Martin.
We are back underway as there were just a few pieces of car to be picked up, a few souvenirs for a couple lucky fans out here in Hungary. But we are on board with Ayahuasca is still yet to close this gap on Fuse Rogue. Even with a double DRS zone, has yet to be able to do it. Will this be the one heading into turn one? Just 3/10 behind. It's not going to be enough to get up to that Williams to try in Sector 1. However, Sector 2, like we said at the beginning, is a rubber band sector where if you get every single bounce right, if you get every single corner and every single line perfect, you can be shot out like a cannon. So Ayahuasca definitely looking for that line. We're on board now with Call Me Maybe, who had that early. No, sorry, I'm making things up. Reimer was the one with the tires. We're on board with the Haas.
There you go. That's all you need to say. He's currently holding 7th place, but Peter was inching closer at the DRS zone, and Gabby Land in the Red Bull is sticking with the group. We'll see if they can shake it up in the next double DRS attack zone.
Well, as we approach the 10-lap mark, 10 laps to go mark, let's take a look at the tires and who might be looking for a cheeky stop here in the back half of today's race. Looking pretty tidy throughout, a lot of hard tires there, so we may be able to see some Ironman pushing through this one.
It's going to be a tricky one. We got a lot. I think DB DeBest and Meme King on those medium tires, they could stretch it to the end. Everyone else is going to be making a pit stop, so might not be too late for Aston Martin to get up, even though they had their little accident on track, both of them coming out with a fresh set of mediums that could make it through to the end.
We'll talk about a late strategy. We questioned him for his early pit stop, but Reimer on his second set of tires, the medium compound, 9 laps in, takes first place over the Williams, over the AlphaTauri. Reimer now leads the Hungarian Grand Prix.
And Ayahuasca is coming nice and close to Fuse Rogan, is going to take back a second place. In all that chaos, DB DeBest down in 11th set the fastest time out on track, and it looks like one of them goes very wide. I believe that was Fuse Rogue, who now lets Texas Tornado slip by into third.
Plenty of chaos as there's a sea of blue following the AlphaTauri as Ayahuasca runs for his life. Texas Toast and Fuse Rogue are just nipping at his heels. What about this? I mean, these top four, we've been saying it for the better part of this race. They have been all over the place. Now Fuse overtaking Tornado. It doesn't get any better than this. Here we go. We are on board with Got Any Weeb as Fuse and Tornado go back and forth through the chicanes. Got Any Weeb trying his hand to get up there, but unable to close the gap before it was closed for him. These two are in an absolute dogfight right now for third place, and that's going to let Ayahuasca and Reimer run away as they look to battle if Ayahuasca can close that gap. We have Jean Carlos heading to the pits. There may have been something technical with the car. We're not sure, but he definitely dropped a few positions, having to bow out quickly. He's back in.
I like that. I feel like it's always around lap 24 where you just start to sit and soak up the engine noise. All of the F1 cars just on the track. I would use that as a sleep track almost.
Oh, I don't.
Nice and quiet.
I don't know if my fiance would appreciate that. Would you go with the cockpit whining of just whoop, or are you talking passing cars idling in the garage? Like, what are you?
I'm thinking like passing cars. I'm not next to the track. I'm maybe like a quarter mile from the track.
Okay.
So it's just like the distant. Maybe you get a nice sound of nature, some birds, some trees, the wind, and then the occasional, car going past.
Right. Yeah, it's not the same as a Formula One car or as a Formula car in general. I did live near a drag strip for a little bit of time. Let me tell you, it's not as pleasant as a Formula car might be in the distance when you just hear an NHRA funny car just wah, out in the middle of nowhere, and like you see the trees shake. It's terrifying.
Those are a little bit different, I'd say.
Let's just say I can't picture this as the soundscape to fall asleep to, but it's not my cross to bear. That is you. I expect a full report the next time we are in D3 on how that goes. I'm going to stick with my brown noise generator.
I think that's fair. Meanwhile, we do have Ayahuasca closing the gap on Reimer, even though he is on hard tires and Reimer is on medium, and Ayahuasca shooting into the inside and is going to have DRS again, takes over first place cleanly and can now put a little gap, but started to spin, and we do have a caution flag. There you are.
It's Gabby spinning yet again. I mean, what a clinical overtake, though, for first place. Ayahuasca over Reimer, utilizing that long DRS straight, and then that double back DRS as we see Got Any Weeb go wide there. Texas Tornado. Oh, maybe that was Texas that went wide. We have a spin. We have contact. Got Any Weeb and Texas Tornado coming into contact in Sector 2. And that is going to end the day for Texas Tornado. Terminal damage. Looked like the front wing. Definitely some underbody issues there. How unfortunate for the Alpine, who was gunning for a podium seat today.
Just so unfortunate. Their only car in the race, too. Red Bull is the only team behind them in the standings who still have both drivers out there. I won't make up enough points at this point to catch, but Alpine was sitting just behind Ferrari, 2 points behind Ferrari, 7 points behind Mercedes, and 9 points behind AlphaTauri, and 13 points behind Williams.
I feel for the Alpine team right now. That is just absolutely gutting. There are no other words for it. Folks, we had 16 drivers at the start of today's race. We're down to 11, and only one of those DNFs was a technical issue. This is just absolute, well, they sold it. This is chaos. There's no better way to describe it. Drivers now heading into the pits for their final pit stops, their final tweaks of the race here. Jode, Hum, and Gabby heading in to try and see if they can't get the upper hand and move up here in the final phases of today's race. Texas Tornado sounding off in paddock chat. A little cheeky there for Dweeb, saying in order to turn in on a corner, you must have rightful ownership of the space. That is correct. That is proper racing. Whether or not that was the actual incident there remains yet to be seen. Of course, the stewards will have to review all of the driver footage following today's event. But I do believe we saw some of that from a weird side angle. So we can't definitively say, but to my eye, it did look like there was a bit of contact there. But we did not have definitive view on the line from our camera angle. So we will need to see that from a track view following today's race.
Always hard to tell what goes wrong in those corners. I had that in my race last week where I turned and then oversteered and someone hit the inside. I think technically I was coming back across too much because of the oversteer. It's messy. It's racing.
Yes. And, I'm not saying that these drivers are less or worse than the others, but it is Division 3. There are tiered divisions, and it is based on race performance. So Ayahuasca getting a track limits penalty now. That's going to be 3 seconds to the race leader. As you go down, it does get a little chippier. These guys may not be as familiar with one another out on the track. There may be some rotating faces on the grid, whereas D1 and 2, they kind of have the same players. You kind of know what to expect when you're racing with someone for multiple years. So it gets a little more difficult. The more fluid your grid becomes, and that just naturally happens to lower division leagues. We do have a penalty.
I was going to say that penalty is going to put Ayahuasca in the second if he can't extend the gap. Williams is 6 seconds behind. I'm interested to see, though, how these tires hold up for everyone. We do have Reimer and Call Me Maybe on 15 and 16 lap old medium tires with 6 laps to go. And then we have the rest of the pack behind them. DB the Best, Mean King, 8 lap mediums, and then a couple fresh softs past that. So I don't know if the entire leaderboard can hold on the rest of the race, if only the hard tires. We have seen people oversteering and sliding out on this track. It is very windy. Now, they do have that 6-7 second buffer, so they don't have to race the car too hard at this point. You never know what will happen, though.
You never know what will happen, especially here, especially tonight. I do know, though, that the Ferrari of Jordi Hum just set the fastest lap. That's sitting at a 1:18 on those pretty fresh, soft tires as the sun comes out here in Hungary to heat up the track for the final 5 laps of action here tonight. Ayahuasca still sitting atop, but Reimer might not even need the penalty assist as he has been fairly close to Ayahuasca. We'll see if he can do it in 5 remaining laps here to close that 1 second gap on Ayahuasca. DB DeBest able to close the gap on Peter DRH one more time. Hopefully this time no incidents to follow. Just getting the better line there through DRS. The Aston Martin is definitely through.
Definitely through, and about to put a 1 second gap on Peter, who is on hard tires. Looked like it was coming from the past 2 laps. And now DB the Best has 7 seconds to chase down Call Me Maybe. So unless some pit stops or unfortunate accidents happen, we might only climb up to 6, but it's been a nice scrappy race from Aston Martin, who both drivers fell down at different points and still find their way up into the top 6.
Absolutely. You cannot be mad at that tenacity coming from the Aston Martin garage here tonight. They are second in constructors, right?
Yes.
Yes, they're second in constructors for a reason. And it's definitely on display here today. These drivers trying to stay as clean as possible, even though some of them may have had some moves. We'll just call them some moves there in the middle part of today's race. It's all racing.
It's all racing. Racking up the quotes. Meme King is raking in the DRS, and Jordy Hum just behind them. He will also, looks like, just miss out on DRS. Meme King is going to slip on the inside. Can't quite box out Peter, who is going to get the better launch, but Meme King will have DRS. Jordy Hum did not in those straights, so he will remain down in 9th, but Meme King taking over 7th. And now Jordy Hum jumping up into 8th.
Yeah, definitely starting to see some effects of those old tires on the Alfa Romeo, now down in 9th place. Jordy Hum, I don't believe Meme King is on a new set of tires. I know Jordy definitely is, but those two drivers getting the best. Yeah, I mean, 10 laps on mediums compared to 18 on hards. That's pretty much says it all right there. Unfortunate snap there for the Alfa Romeo, but we'll see if he can hold that 13-second gap for the next 3 laps.
And Jordy is on some fresher softs, so he is closing in on Meme King. And look at DB to best, too, getting down to about 4 seconds behind Call Me Maybe with 4 laps to go. So he could just pull off the move up into 5th place.
So impressive is Ayahuasca in first place, still in first place, pole position runner right now. Jordy Hum overtaking Meme King for 7th right now on those new softs. Ayahuasca now increasing his lead up to almost 1.5 seconds over Reimer in 2nd place, who I believe is also on fresher tires than Ayahuasca.
Actually, on older tires, so
okay. All right.
Reimer's starting to fall off. Ayahuasca might just pull off the 3 seconds he needs to take first place. That'll be a race against the time clock at the end.
Honestly, if you're Reimer, are you trying to just maintain your tires and cross the finish line, or are you still trying to point, or are you looking at the times right now, trying to keep it under those 3 seconds?
Well, it's tough. I think you're trying to keep it under the 3 seconds, but Ayahuasca probably sees that and can, push him a little hard in those medium tires in lap 18, 19, 20. It could be a little risky. It's a tough call. Reimer has 2nd lock. He's 10 seconds over the Williams cars, so he will be safe there. But does he want to go for that win? Does he want to ruin AlphaTauri's 3-win streak? Or is he happy taking 2nd with a car that crosses the finish line?
Meme King's trying to capitalize on the DRS zone. He's going to get a 10th on Jordy Hum, but it's not going to be enough through the double detection. It's not going to be that lap, but Meme King now holding the closest interval on the track right now for 7th place. The action, the dogfight, is in the back of the pack as the rest of the group has spread out here in the closing laps of the Hungarian Grand Prix.
DB to best getting under 2 seconds. He might be able to get DRS in this next go around. If not, he will in the final lap.
I'm going to be honest. This isn't as much chaos as I had predicted, as I was daydreaming of while I was sitting at my desk today at work. Definitely doing work before we return to holiday break. I really expected it to be something else, but 5 drivers out is definitely a spectacle, no matter which way you cut it. That is not every day.
No, and we started with a short field too, so we are down to just 11 drivers who will be able to get points for their teams. We have Williams and Aston Martin and Red Bull as the only teams with 2 drivers still remaining, so that'll be big boost for them. Aston in 2nd, chasing down McLaren, who is out. Williams in 5th, but they are pretty close to Haas. They can move into 4th, and then Red Bull down in 10th. Trying to sneak up on Alpine, who is also out of the race. Both drivers with DNFs.
Peter racking up another penalty here late in today's race, and it looks like Jordy Hum is going to be able to keep that gap on Meme King to secure, I don't want to say secure yet, but fairly confidently hold 7th place here as we are officially on the final lap of week 8 of season 11 Formula One Racing Division 3 here, Midwest Esports on Nick and Mitch.
And this is going to come down to it for Aston Martin. DB to best, 0.3 of a second behind Call Me Maybe, going to get 2 DRS zones, and Ayahuasca putting a 2.7 second gap on Reimer, carrying a 3-second penalty. And here goes DB to best down the inside.
DB to best takes 5th place, and Ayahuasca still trying to push for that 3-second gap. Will he be able to hold on to first place? Call Me Maybe now taking over DB Blade. DB is dropping heavily as Jordan Hum and Call Me Maybe now battle it out for 5th. DB Blade dropping into 8th place, pushing those tires just a wee bit too hard. That is so unfortunate for the second Aston Martin. However, they still may be looking at a first place finish here on a penalty technicality for Reimer, the replacement driver tonight.
And I think that gap's going to be close enough if the penalties hold. We will see afterwards, but for now, Reimer takes the victory in Hungary. DB to best, just a little bit too strong after the DRS zone, can't rein in the car, but he has just a bit more time to try and claw back some of those points that he gave up.
He may be able to do this. He is definitely in a train right now. Will he be able to get the better of at least the Red Bull of Meme King? No, he will not, dropping heavily back as they approach the finish line. That is so unfortunate for the Aston Martin of DB de Best. But again, that do be racing though. He had one hell of a race regardless. I don't care how you cut that finish line. All the drivers that finished here today deserve to cross this finish line with their heads held high. They made it through absolute war.
Yeah, their cars stood through all of the tests that they were thrown today. And, you know, sometimes you just got to survive a race. You don't have to win the race. You just got to be out there on the track. Make that 90% completion so you can take home some points and live to drive next week.
Here. The game awards driver of the day to Call Me Maybe as he comes across the radio in paddock chat saying, what was that last lap? What a last lap for the boys. Here we go. Green atop the podium here in Hungary as the final race of 2023 for Formula One Division 3 Midwest Esports on Nick and Mitch. Proud to bring you the action of today's race. As Ayahuasca had a commanding race, of course, and Reimer following closely behind the entirety of the day. Just a wonderful showing for these two drivers, and of course, both of the Williams showing pace as well. This was a wonderful drive for the top of this pack. Fuse, Reimer, and Ayahuasca all enjoying that first place spot for at least a bit of today's race.
And Jordan Hum is going to take home the points for the fastest lap with a 1:18.294 in the Ferrari. Not too bad, moved up a few positions throughout the race too. Good drive from him, but the best drive from Reimer in the Aston Martin, who was able to hold on to that 3-second gap at the end behind Ayahuasca and snap their 3-race win streak.
Absolutely cannot beat that action. I mean, anytime a race is that exciting at the end, you know, it's very hard to put that into words. It's very hard to comment anything other than positive notes from that kind of night. That was so much fun. I was on the edge of my seat for absolutely all of it, minus those few very long pits, safety cars there. But what a strategy from Jordan Hum at the last safety car to duck in, throw those soft tires on, along with a couple of the other back runners to then set a fastest lap. Make the most out of all of that open track there for a couple extra points.
Well, it's a good move. If you have enough of that gap, you can, I believe you get 1 point for the fastest lap in this league. I'll have to double check on that. But every point matters at the end. We still have teams separated by 2, 3, 4 points right now in the standings. So grab them while you can.
Absolutely. And Of course, the standings that you saw on screen tonight are not definitive in terms of points in the league. Our stewards, Helgs, Scavney, and Matt Rosie, will all be reviewing any reports that the drivers may submit through the week. And we will be back with the official standings and official findings, the conclusive report on Week 8 racing next week, which takes us back. I believe we are sadly leaving Division 3. This is a fun division to watch. I really want to call another one of their races this season. But next week will take us to COTA, Circuit of the Americas, in none other than Austin, Texas, where we will be jumping back up to Division 1 action. I cannot wait to see the big dogs playing in the South. It's going to be a fun one for sure.
I don't know if I have my jorts anymore from last year when we threw them on for one of the races, but if any race deserves it, it is definitely COTA.
I definitely have a cowboy hat in that closet back there, so you know that will be making an appearance next week. Maybe we'll put the McLaren, we'll see if we can put the McLaren logo on the cowboy hat. I'll see what we can come up with. Thank you very much for joining us for another week of racing action here on Nick and Mitch. Thank you, of course, again to Commissioner Porkchops and everyone at MidWest eSports for giving us the honor of calling these races every week. We would not be able to do it without your support. We would also not be able to do it without all of our YouTube members who keep the lights on, who keep the stream looking as nice as it does right now.
And that would be our executive producers, Bone Crusher 2D, Coach 34, and my mom. Co-producers, Captain Snowbeard, Killer Vapor, and Kirsten, and our Fans and Fans Plus. Did I get it?
You got them all, buddy.
Almost had It's the Mort in my head for some reason going years back. If you want to become a member, though, it helps support the channel. We use that money to enhance our streams with the Christmas music we have in the background, our assets, everything that we play. If not, you can also just subscribe, though, and you'll get a lot of other cool stuff. You'll get our videos whenever they pop up, our live streams, and it will pop up on the stream if you do it while we are live with the best notification sound in the world. It's on both of our phones for our text messages.
Look at that. You gotta love it. Hey, Mitch, nice assets. It is late here, and I'm suffering the effects of caffeine withdrawal. So it's time for me to go to bed. And are you working tomorrow, or are you off?
I think I'm off.
You want to go run a couple laps at COTA?
Yeah.
Let's get after it, buddy. Thanks for watching tonight. We will see you back same place, same time next week for a live stream of Division 1 action from the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. I'm Nick.
And I'm Mitch.
Good night. Thanks for watching.